Okay, Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. This week is on chapter 1, Introduction to Instrumentation and Measurement. So in this chapter, we will start with the basic, which is understanding what does it means by instrumentations and measurement and why they are so important in engineering. So let's begin. Have you ever wondered how machines know what is happening around them? How do they measure temperature, pressure, or movement so accurately? So that is where the instrumentation and measurement comes in. It is all about collecting information from the real world and making the information useful for monitoring and control. Therefore, in this topic, we will learn how a system sense, how they measure and respond to different conditions around them. Okay, let's start with a simple question. What does it mean by instrumentation? Instrumentation is actually referring to tools or devices that are designed for a specific purpose. Okay, let's think of the instrument like a thermometer or pressure gauge or maybe the sensors, right? So each of these instruments is built to measure or to detect something in particular. But the instrumentation is not just about a single device. It also refers to the arrangement or combination of more than one instruments that are working together. Okay, for example, in a lab, we are doing the experiment, right? So we use several instruments to measure different variables at the same time. Another important aspect of instrumentation is how these instruments are used. So we use instrument mainly for three things. First is for observation, whereby we use the instrument to monitor what is happening in a system. Second, we use the instrument for measurement, okay, which is to obtain the values or numerical values such as temperature, all right, pressure, maybe voltage. And we use instrument also for control, whereby the instrument is being used to regulate a process so it stays within the desired condition, the condition that we already fixed. So what we can conclude is the instrumentation is the science and application of using the instrument to observe, to measure, and to control a system. Okay, now let's look at some real-life problems where instrumentation is needed. Imagine the different industry were asking engineers for help. First, we have here an oil and gas company. They might say that we need help to figure out the mixture that flows in a pipe. As we know, in a pipeline, there will be oil, there will be gas, and sometimes the water also flow together. So engineers need instruments such as the flow meter, the pressure sensor, or the composition analyzer to measure what is actually inside the pipe. Okay, next, think about the airport security or police department. Okay, they might have issue with, for example, they might say, please help us track criminals at the airport. So here, the instrument can involve biometric scanners, facial recognition cameras, or even the surveillance sensors that help to identify those individuals. Okay. Another example is from a mineral water bottling company. They might ask the engineers, okay, for example, please design a mechanism to detect a full bottle of water. Okay, so in the manufacturing lines, the sensors, okay, they often use sensors like level sensor to detect the certain level for their product. Okay, they also might use the weight sensor or even the optical sensor. Okay, they use to check whether each bottle is been filled properly before the bottle been moved to the next stage. Okay, so what do these examples showing us? Okay, even though the industries are very different, okay, they are oil and gas, okay, it might be security or manufacturing, they all rely on instrumentation system, okay, to measure, to detect, and to monitor the process. So this is why instrumentation is so important in engineering. It helps the industry to make decision. It helps to improve the safety, and it helps to ensure the quality of the products, right? Okay, instrumentation in engineering is not only a theory subject. It is a real profession that been used in industries such as oil and gas, manufacturing, power plants, as well as aerospace. So many big companies hire instrumentation engineers to monitor and to control the industrial systems. When the engineers use measurement, they are usually doing one of two things. First, they might be doing measurements as part of experiments to learn something new. Okay, this could be trying to figure out how something is working, or maybe to testing out the new ideas to see if they will be useful in the near future. Okay. The second way they use measurement is in everyday devices to keep an eye on things and make sure that everything is working as it should. For example, there are sensors in a car. Okay, so those sensors might measure things like the speed of the car or the temperature to make sure that the engine can run smoothly. So this will help to keep everything under control and running smoothly. But then, how measurements are being used when the engineers doing the experiments? Okay, first, the research experimentation, meaning the engineer test the new ideas to see if something new can work. For example, they may test new materials or a new design that has never been used before. Okay. Second, we have the development experimentation. Okay. For this experimentation, the engineers improve or develop an existing idea. The idea is there. They are going to improve the idea so it can become a real product that can be sold or can be used in industry. And finally, there is the performance testing, meaning that the engineers will check how well a product or how well that system will work. So they measure things like the speed, the strength, the temperature, or even the efficiency to make sure that the product performs properly. Okay, so in simple terms, the engineers use measurement in experiment to discover new ideas. Okay, they use measurement to improve the ideas and to make sure that the final product works well. Okay, but then it comes to a question: why engineers perform experiments? First, the experiment will help the engineers to prove or to verify the theories. Engineers test the idea in a real situation to check whether the theory is correct, right? And second, experiment will help the engineers to develop new methods or develop new products. By testing different design or different materials, the engineers can create better technologies or they can improve the existing ones. Okay, and the third one, experiments been used when installing or when we start the new engineering systems. So the engineer will test the system to make sure that everything works properly before it is being fully used. Okay, and finally, experiment will help the engineers to evaluate the performance of existing product. So how they do this? They measure how well a machine or the product will work, and they're going to check if it meets the required standards. So what we can conclude is the experiment will help the engineers to test ideas, to create new products, to ensure system work correctly, and to improve the existing technologies. In this slide, we will discuss on research experimentation, specifically focused on carbon fiber composite. Right? So this carbon fiber composite is representing a recent example of the research and development process. So the carbon fiber composite is a materials that is made by combining those tiny carbon fiber with another other stuff, okay, known as the matrix. So these materials are pretty new, but they are already being used in a lot of things like body of a bicycles, tennis racket, and even to make the parts of the airplanes. Okay. It starts from the suggesting method, whereby they propose a method to conduct a research on the carbon fiber composite. Then it moved to evaluating method, where we assess the effectiveness of different evaluation techniques. Then it will go to the physical properties, whereby we investigate the physical properties of carbon fiber composite. Then we move into producing the carbon fiber. Okay, at this stage, small scale production of carbon fibers been conducted. Then it goes to the performing test, whereby we are going to conduct experiments to evaluate the material properties of these newly created materials. During the development, first, researchers had to figure out how to make carbon fiber in a small amount. So they test those tiny amount to see how strong and how durable the material were, and found out the results were really good. So the companies started working on making more and more carbon fiber, and they find ways to use these materials to make bigger things. For example, like a part of the aircraft. And now there are tons of products that made with carbon fiber. But at the same time, people are still working on making the material even better. Okay, one big achievement is that the Boeing 787 aircraft, okay, which has a fuselage. Okay, fuselage is the main body of the aircraft. Is made entirely from carbon fiber. So this will bring the impact to the airplane technology, whereby we can produce a lighter aircraft with more fuel efficiency. Now we are going to talk about the performance testing. Okay, this performance testing is like giving a report card to products that are already been made and being used. Okay, so like checking if the car works well on a bumpy ride. It is done to see if something is good for a specific job, to make sure it is reliable, or to figure out how long it will last. So these tests can be done by the company that made the product. It can be done by the one that's selling it, or even the customer who is using it. Okay, so how we are going to do this is by a special testing lab. For example, okay, a power company might regularly check big machines in their plants to make sure that they are working properly. If something is not working right, they will fix it. When doing this test, they use reliable tools that give clear results. So they are usually been done by the technician that definitely know what they are doing. In the big engineering organizations, we have American Society of Mechanical Engineers, ASTM. So they have the rules for how these tests should be done to make sure everything is fair, to make sure that everything is accurate. And the other organization is like the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, IEEE, and the International Society of Automation, ISA, has also established the detailed procedure for conducting this performance testing.